Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Open Mind Theory. It's a little change of scenery today. Yes, I know it is just me. And I know I said that I wanted to have a guest on every single episode, but this episode with just me is necessary. And it actually should have been the first episode. However, this is something that I realized I should have done after. I'm just going to explain more about that in a bit. But just before I kind of jump in here, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's supported the podcast so far. Even if you were liking my Instagram posts, following me on my Instagram, even if you just watched 5 minutes of the video, I just want to say that I really appreciate that. You guys definitely put on a smile on my face, and there was a lot of people who reached out to me and said some really kind things. So thank you for doing that. It put a smile on my face, and it made me realize the great group of people I have surrounding me and the support that I have with this new project. So yeah, so I say we get right in. So this episode is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, and basically what this episode is going to be about is it's the basis and foundation for my podcast. Now, over the break, I did a lot of research and I did some thinking, and this kind of came apart when I had a conversation with my dad and my stepmom, and my stepmom was asking me if I'd done any research, behind the theories behind having an open mind and other research around that, and I said no, I actually haven't done that. I should have. This name that I came up with, an idea, was a personal thing, but it is applicable to, obviously, life success and this other theory that I'm going to talk about, which makes a lot of sense. So she asked me if I'd researched anything around the name, and I said no. And she told me to research someone who has pioneered the quote-unquote growth mindset. Her name is Carol Dweck. Now, Carol Dweck, she's an American psychologist, and she's a professor at the University of Stanford, and she's well known for the growth mindset theory. She's done TED Talks, she's done podcasts, YouTube videos. I'll probably, link some on my Instagram or in the YouTube video, but you guys should definitely check her out. And she kind of, aligns with the podcast vision. So she actually identifies the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. So just starting with the fixed mindset is someone who believes that their, skills, talents, and characteristics about themselves cannot change, and that they're fixed, they have a cap on them, and that they're not open to the fact that they can experience growth and they can learn something new, for example. Whereas the growth mindset is the polar opposite, quite frankly. The growth mindset, essentially, those who have growth mindset, they look at challenges with the opportunity that they can grow and get better and learn something. It's the way that they look at difficult situations is what separates them from a fixed mindset. They want to fail, and they don't care about, dumb and smart. They just want to do this for the sake of learning and bettering themselves, and this is what allows us to grow, by doing difficult things and challenging ourselves, right? And I'm just going to talk about some studies that Carol did just to kind of back this up, because there's some interesting facts in this. So this is not an actual study, but we're going to come to this later. But Carol learned that in high school in Chicago, students had to pass 84 units to graduate. And if they didn't pass, they got the grade not yet. Now, Carol said that when students saw the word fail, so normally if I were to fail a class, I would see fail on my transcript. So she said that if students saw the word fail, this would get them nowhere. Whereas not yet would put them on a learning curve and show them a path to the future. So no, this hasn't happened just yet, but it will, and it might. So Carol actually did, this is the interesting study here, we're going to talk about too. Carol did a study on, she wanted to figure out how kids coped with challenge. So she gave 10-year-olds math problems that were a little bit too hard for them. She explained some of the reactions. Some of the reactions of these kids were super excited. They were excited for the challenge, and they want to see how their abilities could grow. Whereas she also had some other reactions that were quite tragic and dreadful. These kids were not excited to learn anything new. They were almost discouraged a little bit just because of how challenging the task was. This represented, obviously, the more of a fixed mindset. I'm going to pop up an image on the screen of how this looks like in the brain. So essentially, this image represents the fixed and growth mindsets when the kids were processing an error when attempting these math problems. On the left is the fixed mindset, where difficulty is a bad thing. They want out of these challenges. They want out of the problems. They're clearly avoiding error, and nothing is going on. There's no brain activity, as you can see on the scale here on the bottom. And then on the right, With a growth mindset, you witness the brain of someone who just encountered an error, and they're processing this error, they're correcting themselves, and this is just something that they're thinking about. This process on the right, the growth mindset, this is what we call learning. This is what learning looks like. And through these challenges, Carol's research also shows that praising wisely can encourage growth. Praising people for the actual process, the hard work, the strategies, their focus, rather than the actual outcome and results, can teach people thinking, critical thinking, challenge thinking, and resilience. And, praising the actual process, hard work strategies is a much more effective, strategy to achieve that growth mindset and to learn something new. Whereas praising outputs, talent, and intelligence makes kids in the study that she found more vulnerable and a little bit more discouraged. Carol taught these kids that every time they pushed outside their comfort zone to learn something new and difficult, the neurons in their brain can form new and stronger connections, and over time they can get smarter, which is super interesting. Another study that she did is Carol teamed up with computer scientists at the University of Washington to create a new math game for kids. So she actually created 2 math games, an original math game that basically would, give students points for, getting the right answers or just zooming through levels, kind of like, circus math that I played as a kid. Whereas this other game that she created, it was called Brain Points. In her game, students, they got points for sustaining their efforts, trying different strategies, and making progress. And the most exciting finding of the study was in the regular math game that she created, it was only the high achievers that loved playing the game. Whereas in Brain Point's version, her version, many more lower achieving students played longer and they actually stayed to the end. In the game that was integrated, she used the words yet and not yet after a student encountered a setback. And she found that by using these words, this actually gave kids more confidence. So looking at these studies and the growth mindset theory and kind of tying it back to my name, how does it kind of correlate? So to have a growth mindset, you of course need to be open to new opportunities and challenges. Essentially, having a growth mindset is an open one. An open mindset, this is kind of where one is simply open to the idea that they can improve and grow by trying something new and difficult. An open mindset also represents someone who doesn't have any prejudgments, or they have gathered all the facts and opinions and resources before making a decision. And this is actually that was a definition from the University of Pennsylvania. But what correlates the two is that how they approach situations and challenges. They approach situations and challenges with the possibility that they can get something out of it, that they can learn, that they can grow, they can get smarter. And both of them essentially are open. So that's kind of how they tie together, which is interesting. And just kind of moving forward with the podcast and what I wanted to do with this is, yes, I want to have a guest on every single episode. However, I wanted to see how these theories impacted my guests and how this has helped them get to where they are today. I probably should have done this episode first, but it's just going to be, obviously it's a little bit of a shorter one, but this is the basis and the foundation of the podcast, is that, doing difficult things, putting yourself out there, trying something that is a little bit difficult can ultimately make you smarter and allow you to grow. And that's pretty much it for this episode. That's all I kind of wanted to say. Once again, a really big thank you to everyone who has supported me. You guys have just absolutely been amazing, giving me great feedback. It's been a lot of fun, and this is only the beginning. So yeah, once again, that's pretty much what we have going on here. Just kind of the synopsis is the growth mindset theory, how it relates to having an open mind, and just doing difficult things, trying those difficult things, and looking at situations differently, looking at situations with the outlook that, you know what, I know this is difficult, but maybe I could actually improve, or, this is probably good for me, and it definitely will be. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for tuning in once again. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, as well as I'll pop up my Instagrams on the podcast as well. But thank you once again, and I'm out for now. Bye-bye.